Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging in something really vital for healthcare professionals wanting to work in English-speaking countries. The Occupational English Test, the OET. If you've ever wondered, how doctors or nurses actually prove their English is good enough, not just good, but safe, effective in a hospital or clinic. Well, this Deep Dive, it's your shortcut. We'll get you properly informed on what OET demands and, crucially, how to plan for it.
And that safe and effective point, that's absolutely the core of it. Because, look, this isn't like your standard English exam.
Right.
The OET is very specifically built for healthcare professionals. It really zeroes in on the exact language, the communication skills you actually need day to day in real clinical settings.
Okay.
So what we'll talk about today should make it pretty clear how getting a good OET score, well, it's more than just ticking an English box. It's solid proof you can function well and, like you said, safely in that environment.
Okay, let's unpack this then. You mentioned its unique focus. So for someone who's maybe just heard the name OET, how do we start? What exactly is this test, fundamentally?
Fundamentally, it's an international English test, right?
Yeah.
But it assesses 4 really key communication abilities, things that are vital in healthcare.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, understanding spoken English. So think about understanding a patient during a consultation, or maybe grasping a detailed handover between nurses, or even following a medical lecture.
Right, listening comprehension, but very specific situations.
Exactly. Then second, it checks how well you understand written stuff. Again, very specific. Reading referral letters, maybe research papers, or even just explaining a patient information leaflet accurately.
And it's not just about receiving information, is it? It goes into actually communicating yourself.
Precisely. Point 3 is your writing. Specifically, writing the kinds of letters or documents needed in your profession.
So not just any letter.
No. Think discharge summaries, transfer requests, referral letters. They need to be clear, professional in tone.
Makes sense. And the fourth?
And fourth, speaking. This involves role plays, usually 2, that simulate real patient interactions. You need to speak fluently, accurately, and appropriately for the situation.
Wow.
And it's worth knowing, most of the big regulatory bodies, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Singapore, they widely accept OET for registration for visas. It's pretty recognized.
What strikes me hearing that is just how practical it all sounds. These aren't like abstract grammar exercises, are they?
Not at all. And that's what's fascinating, really. Each part of the test genuinely mirrors authentic tasks you do at work.
Right.
And this focus, it matters hugely. It means the test isn't just checking general English. It's actually proving you can use English safely in a medical context.
So less about perfect grammar, more about clear communication in high-stakes situations.
Exactly. It's less about whether you use the past perfect correctly, and more about, say, can you confidently explain medication side effects to a worried patient? Or can you give a clear, concise handover about a critical patient? That practical, real-world element is vital. It directly impacts patient safety and care.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, especially thinking about that real-world angle, the actual test format. You said 4 subtests, but they're all on the same day. That sounds intense. How's it structured?
It is a concentrated day, definitely. But maybe that reflects the reality of a clinical shift, right? Constantly switching between listening, reading, writing, speaking.
Good point.
So yeah, you start with listening. That's about 45 minutes, 3 parts, short recordings, longer talks, consultations. The challenge there isn't just hearing words, it's picking up on nuance, urgency, the subtlety in a clinical chat. Then you move straight into reading. That's an hour, 60 minutes. Again, 3 parts, healthcare texts, detailed questions you need to read efficiently and accurately.
Okay, listening, reading, then.
Then comes writing. 45 minutes for that. You get taste notes, and you have to write one specific task, usually a letter, like we mentioned, referral, discharge, something typical for your profession.
And finally, the speaking part.
Finally, speaking. It's shorter, around 20 minutes total. It involves 2 role plays with a trained interlocutor.
So these role plays, they're not just basic chats.
No, and this raises an important point. The interlocutors, they're trained to act like real patients or sometimes colleagues. So sometimes they might be anxious, or maybe they don't understand, or maybe they're even a bit resistant to advice. You have to show you can handle that. It tests your language, yes, but also those soft skills, empathy, clear explanation, active listening. It's about navigating that human interaction effectively, safely.
That absolutely makes sense. Okay, so you get through this pretty demanding day. The big question then, how is it all scored? How do you know if you've passed?
Right, so each of those 4 subtests, listening, reading, writing, speaking, is scored separately. The scale goes from A, which is the highest, down to E.
A to E for each one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the crucial bit. Most regulatory bodies, the ones who give you your license or visa, they usually require a minimum of grade B.
Grade B.
Yes. Or sometimes they express it as a score, 350 out of 500. But the key thing is, it's usually required in each of the 4 subtests, not just an overall average.
Wow, okay. So you can't just ace the reading and bomb the speaking. You need consistency.
Exactly. You need to be strong across the board. And achieving a B, well, it signals a really high level of clinical communication ability. It's seen as a benchmark for safety.
What does it take to get that B? What are they looking for?
Good question. The criteria focus on several things. Accuracy of language, obviously grammar, vocabulary, spelling. Appropriateness, your tone, your register. Is it suitable for the situation?
Can you give an example of that, the tone and register?
Sure. Think about how you talk to a colleague during a quick handover versus how you explain a serious diagnosis to a patient's family. Very different styles, right? OET checks, if you can make that switch correctly.
Got it. What else for the grade B?
Clarity and coherence. Is your writing well organized? Does your speaking flow logically? And very importantly, task fulfillment.
Task fulfillment, meaning?
Meaning, did you actually do what the task asked? In writing, did you include all the necessary information from the case notes? In speaking, did you successfully explain the procedure? Or did you manage to get the information you needed from the patient?
Right. It's not just about sounding good, it's about getting the job done clinically.
Precisely. In writing, for example, you need to present info logically, use paragraphs well, maintain that professional tone. In speaking, they assess both what you say, the content, did you explain things properly, and how you say it, pronunciation, fluency, how you interact. It's like a double check. Did you achieve the clinical communication goal, and did you use English effectively to do it?
That sounds incredibly thorough and demanding, needing that B in every single part, which leads to the practical side. How do people actually sign up for this test? Is it complex?
It can seem daunting, but the registration itself is actually pretty straightforward. It's basically a 6-step process online.
Okay, walk us through it.
First, you go to the official website, that's occupationalenglishTest.org, and you create an OET account. Simple enough.
Right.
Second, you select your specific profession. Nursing, medicine, dentistry, whatever applies to you. Third, choose the test format you want. The traditional paper-based test at a center or OET at home, the online version.
OET at home. That's taken online.
Yeah, we can talk more about that. Fourth step is picking your test date and the venue if you're going to a center, or arranging the online test time. Fifth, you pay the fee. It varies a bit by location, but usually somewhere between, say, £240 and £300 sterling, or the local equivalent.
Okay.
And finally, step 6, you get a confirmation email that'll have your candidate number, venue details if applicable, all the important info.
And thinking about dates and venues.
Yeah.
How often is it offered? Is it easy to find a slot, especially for busy healthcare workers?
It's pretty flexible, actually. The paper-based test runs roughly 12 times a year in major cities across the globe.
Okay, monthly-ish?
Roughly, yeah. And the OET at-home version. That's offered multiple times every month. So quite a bit more flexibility there.
Good to know.
Booking usually opens about 3 months ahead and closes maybe a month before the test. Sometimes earlier in popular spots, so it's worth checking. There are loads of venues, over 400 worldwide. Places like London, Manchester, Dublin are common examples in this part of the world.
And the OET at home, how does that work logistically?
Right. With OET at home, you take the listening, reading, and writing sections on your computer at home. It's supervised live via video link. The speaking test is done separately, also online, usually on a different day, close to the main test.
Interesting. Any key tips for people when booking?
Definitely. Book early. Especially if you have a deadline from a council or for a visa, seats fill up.
Makes sense.
Also, if you're going to a venue, maybe check what facilities are like. If you're doing OET at home, double check your computer, your internet connection, make sure it meets the requirements. That's crucial.
Yeah, wouldn't want a tech issue on the day.
Exactly. And just, basic stuff. Read the rules beforehand. Know what ID you need. Get there early if it's in person, usually 30 minutes before. Understand the rules about breaks, what you can and can't bring in. Just be prepared for the logistics.
So, okay, we understand the test, the scoring, the registration. Let's talk preparation. What does all this mean for someone actually getting ready? It sounds like a lot to cover, especially needing that solid B everywhere. How do you avoid feeling overwhelmed?
That's a really common feeling. The key, I think, is structure and realistic goals. You need a plan. Breaking it down is essential.
Right.
We often recommend using the SMART framework for setting your study goals. Heard of that?
Vaguely, remind me. Specific, measurable.
Exactly. Specific. Don't just say, I want to improve my writing. Say, I want to achieve at least grade B in the writing subtest by October. Much clearer.
Okay.
Measurable. How will you track progress? Example, I will aim to score at least 60% in every writing practice task I complete. Gives you something concrete.
Achievable.
Achievable. This means being realistic. Base your targets on maybe a diagnostic test first. Where are you starting from? Don't aim for A's across the board in 2 weeks if you're currently at a C level.
Makes sense. Relevant.
Relevant. Focus your energy. Which subtest is your weakest? What does your specific registration board absolutely require? Tailor your study to what matters most for your situation.
And time-bound.
Time-bound. Yes, deadlines. Set deadlines for finishing certain modules, for taking mock tests, for final revision. It keeps you on track. Using SMART goals just helps structure everything.
And if we link that SMART approach to, say, an actual study plan, having that structure must really build confidence, right? And make sure you're using your study time well, tackling those weaker areas we talked about.
Absolutely. Let's imagine an 8-week plan, for example.
Okay.
Maybe weeks 1 and 2, you focus on diagnosis and listening skills. Take a full sample listening test. Really analyze why you made mistakes. Was it mishearing keywords? Was it understanding attitude? Aim to, say, cut down those kinds of errors by 50%.
Specific and measurable. I see.
Exactly. Then, maybe weeks 3 and 4, you tackle writing structure. Study the typical letter formats. Practice drafting maybe 3 letters, focusing really hard on including all the required points from the case notes and using clear paragraphs.
Right. Getting that task fulfillment element down.
Precisely. I remember one candidate, a very skilled doctor, brilliant clinically, but really struggled in the speaking role plays. Why? Because they kept using really complex medical jargon with the patient.
The register.
Exactly. It was a real lesson in adapting your language. And OET really forces you to practice that, hammers it home.
That's a great example. So, continuing the plan, weeks 5 and 6.
Maybe weeks 5 and 6, reading techniques. Part A of the reading can be a real-time pressure point for many, so practice skimming, scanning, maybe work through 5 practice passages, aiming to get that Part A completion time down to, say, 10 minutes.
Okay, targeted practice.
And then weeks 7 and 8, you could really focus on those speaking role plays. Record yourself doing maybe 6 mock role plays. Listen back critically. Where are the hesitations? Are the explanations clear? Aim to improve fluency and reduce pauses when explaining things.
Self-assessment is key there.
Hugely important. And throughout this whole plan, you need regular review. Check your progress against your weekly targets. Maybe do a full mock test under time conditions once a month. And be prepared to adjust your goals if needed. If something's taking longer, that's okay. Just adjust the plan.
This deep dive has really, I feel, pulled back the curtain on the OET today. We've gone from understanding its very specific real-world focus for healthcare folks through the format, the scoring, even the nitty-gritty of registering and planning your prep. It seems clear the OET isn't just another English exam. It's a proper pathway to showing you can communicate effectively and, crucially, safely in an English-speaking healthcare setting.
It really is. And maybe a final thought for listeners to consider. Given how much the OET emphasizes these authentic workplace communication tasks, how might mastering these specific skills actually benefit your professional growth day to day, beyond just passing the test? Think about your daily interactions with patients, with colleagues. How could improving these communication skills, the ones OET tests, make you more effective, more confident, even outside of the exam context? Something to reflect